welcome everybody. We've got another episode of Real Freedom Stories, and today we've got Clint Muhlenberg on, and Clint works with a company called Level, and Level provides virtual assistants for folks in real estate, and he's got a great operation going, and so we just want to talk more about that, talk about his past in real estate, how he got where he's at today, and where he wants to go in the future. So welcome, Clint. We're so happy to have you. Why don't you just take a minute and introduce yourself?
Hey, appreciate it, Mike. Thanks for having me. So I am Clint Muhlenberg. I'm the founder of Level. We are a virtual assistant recruiting and staffing agency that helps realtors, agents, support people, and really anybody in any industry help with getting an administrative, marketing, or operations hire, but a true hire that's on your team, not just somebody that's a task doer that you pass things off to do. So we've been around for a few years now and have so far built up a team of over 100 people in that short time.
Wow, that's fantastic, and we'll dig a lot deeper into that and how you were able to grow so fast. But why don't you just talk about first how you got into real estate? How did that first opportunity come up, and maybe some of those early years for you?
Yeah, so I got into real estate probably about I think it was 2015, with one of the largest top 10 worldwide Keller Williams teams. Prior to that, I was actually in the school bus transportation industry, working operations, basically going to any location they sent me across the US from anywhere from 1 day to 1 year, and just fixing issues, fixing whatever issue they happen to have, financial, operational, with employees, HR, it didn't matter what it was. There was something that they sent me across the world or across the US just to fix. But looked like, when I was leaving there, I really wanted to challenge. I wanted to change. I didn't want the same. I felt like I was stuck in what I would grow personally and professionally. I wasn't getting challenged enough. And that's when I actually got connected with another Keller Williams team. Went through the entire, 5-week-long process that they did for recruiting, and eventually turned down the offer with them. Just didn't seem like the right fit for me. So they actually connected me with another team that said, hey, this might be a good opportunity for you. Met up with the owner there. Just kind of sat around and chatted. He explained everything going on in his world, everything he wanted to do, everything that wasn't getting done, everything that was kind of chaotic. And that spoke to me. The chaos, the uncertainty, hey, go figure this stuff out and just bring us the results really spoke to me. And we basically shook hands right then and there with an offer and kept going forward.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to hear you talk about, what appealed to you is the opportunity and being able to kind of calm the chaos a little bit. I was in similar shoes. I know other people who've been in those operations roles are kind of in that similar vein where, they may have been bored because they weren't challenged enough previously, or they maybe have been there long enough and just wanted a different challenge. But they like the idea of there's enough stuff here where I feel like I can stay busy, I can stay challenged, I can work on stuff. And so I know that your message resonates with me because I was in that same boat where I feel like, okay, there's enough here that I can stay busy with.
Yeah, the chaos absolutely was by far what I wanted. I love dealing with chaos, with disorder, with the unknowns. I've never actually had a job that had a job description. That wasn't one that I came in and had to create. Like, I came into every job with kind of an idea, an understanding, or maybe a target, but nothing defined. And that's what I loved, because it was so moldable, and I wanted to mold and grow as fast as possible. So that was perfect for me.
So why don't you share a little bit about your time on the team, and then maybe talk about how that transition happened to where you moved on from the team?
Yeah, so I started off as the operations manager, was in that role for about a year, switched over to the chief of staff role for another year, and then eventually left as the vice president of finance and administration. So I had my hands in everything on the back end, everything that didn't involve actually being an agent. I touched at some point during my time there. And I loved that. I mean, I grew a ton. I learned a lot. But ultimately, I wanted to stick more operationally. That's where I've been for all my life. That's where my skills lie. That's where my passions are. And ultimately, we determined, hey, look, the business is having this need for more finance stuff and less operational, because operations, kind of the pathway is already paved and taken. And I said, well, my finance level is great, but it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be what's needed. It's not CFO level of a massive business like this, nor do I intend it to be. So how about we make a transition? So I actually created a transition plan over a couple of months that would say, hey, here's how we can transition my stuff to other people, remove, delegate, eliminate, whatever. So we started following that plan, and actually took over 5 months to do so. Which was awesome because it allowed me to go and start level during that meantime. As we transitioned out of that business, I was able to start transitioning up into what level it was now become. But really what I wanted to do was I was consulting with people. I went out there and I was consulting with a lot of people in the real estate industry and some outside. And basically my thought was, hey, how can I go into a business and help them versus just give them an outside perspective, but really do the work with them. What I found was most businesses I chatted with, their biggest ultimate need would always be solved with a hire. Their biggest and every need they had was not putting a system or process in place. It was putting a person in place. And so I always chatted with them about their opportunities to hire, what their challenges might be, where they should go, what they should hire, how they should hire, everything like that. A lot of the times I was talking to people, they would recommend, I'd recommend hiring somebody overseas, specifically from the Philippines. I've worked with, dozens of people in the Philippines at the time, and I recommended, hey, hire somebody from over there. I'd hear one of two major things. One, we've tried it and it didn't work out. And two, I don't know how to. Well, number one, makes me laugh every single time. Imagine an agent or a team owner saying, well, we've hired a buyer's agent before and it didn't work out, so we're never hiring a buyer's agent again. You hired a person that didn't work out, and you'll never hire that person again. But not to say that the whole culture, a whole group of people should be discounted because it didn't work out the first one. So
I wasn't aware that there was any turnover in real estate. So that's news to me that somebody had a buyer's agent that didn't work out.
So you'll never hire a buyer's agent again, I'm guessing.
No, the role's broken because the first person that we hired, it didn't work out. So that means something's wrong with the role itself.
Yeah, but you never go back and actually investigate what happened. You just automatically assume it was the wrong thing versus going, did I set them up for failure with no training, no guidance, no job description? It is a very easy way to set somebody up for failure if you're not clear and they're not clear on what the role and duties actually entail. That's what we really started doing. I started basically saying, hey, look, I've done this before. I have a little bit different way than the other companies. I've used almost every major company out there. I've actually worked with every other major company out there. And I said, I do things a little differently. Let me help you. I've got some great people, that I know, let me help you do this. And so I had a lot of people who start saying, okay, help us. So I started just putting systems and processes in place to kind of help people. And I said, you know what? I really get a lot of, I'm very passionate. I get a lot of joy and gratitude from helping people, because I know that when I help somebody, it's not that I'm helping the client, it's I'm helping the person in the Philippines with somebody that actually now sees them as a real person, that sees them as a member of their team, that sees them as a long-term job opportunity prospect, that's not getting coached or taught by somebody that you go pay $2 an hour and they do whatever you want. But you pay them fairly, you pay them competitively, and you actually have a role, like I said, a job description written up for them that says, this is what you're going to do, which is really what you want with leverage. You want to be able to say, this is now yours. You don't want to say, hey, Mike, I got a bunch of stuff on my plate. You can have this. Come back to me when you're done. Then you can have this. It's never going to be a role. It's never going to be a strong suit of somebody. So really just started doing that, treating people like people, treating them like any other team member you'd ever hire. And just really focusing on the actual employee versus on the client for long-term success. And I think the model is so simple, but it's worked for us.
And for those folks that maybe haven't used a virtual assistant in the past, when you're on their side and you see how they've been treated, I've been in some, because when we attempted to hire virtual assistants, we were in the job boards where jobs were posted, and you'd hear virtual assistants talking about like, yeah, don't use that company because all of a sudden, like, they just stopped paying me and they never told me. Would somebody in the US do that to an employee and just like stop paying him and not tell him like, oh yeah, your job's done? Or like, all of a sudden they wake up the day and their access is gone and nobody's communicated to them about, hey, we decided to change the role, or even like we closed the role. Like they never even tell them, they don't pay them for anything. Like that's just not how people should be treated. And so to know that there's this whole population of people out there that are helping real estate agents that get treated like that. That's not the way we treat people here. So it shouldn't be the way that we treat people there. Just because they live a few miles away from us, there's still a virtual phone call. It's the same, if Clint, you and I were sitting side by side, it's the same as if I was talking with my virtual assistant. So why should we treat people differently?
Yeah, it's honestly sad, Mike, that has to be one of our benefits that says guaranteed pay. The fact that if you do work, you're going to guarantee get pay. Like, Mike, if you did work for me and it was good, it wasn't great, I'm not going to withhold pay from you. You and I agreed to something, and you worked those hours. I'm going to pay you, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that relationship stops, then that's different. But not paying somebody for the work they've done or stuff that you committed to, it broke my heart. That was one of the kind of things that's, hey, here's a benefit. Regardless if our client pays, we're going to make sure you get paid. Like that was kind of a big thing for people.
Yeah, the bar is pretty low, and so you're certainly raising the bar.
Yeah, I think having that sort of guarantee was big for a lot of people. I mean, we offer quite a bit of really, really powerful ones. The big one, obviously, is kind of what you said, is like, hey, you could come in one day and your job could be eliminated without you even knowing about it, through no fault of your own. It could be that people just haven't been seeing you, talking to you, so they don't even imagine you there doing work, so they just let you go, cut off your access, forget, whatever, which unfortunately does happen. With us, every person that we hire on gets job security. If their client terminates for any reason that is not performance related, that has to do nothing to do with what they've done, then we go ahead and help them find their next job right then and there.
So talk a little bit more about freedom for you in aligning yourself with great people, building a company where you have great people, you have great clients. What is this going to do for you with your long-term goals as the result of building it out? And then we'll talk a little bit later about your employees and the freedom that they can see by aligning with you. But talk about, what does this mean for Clint long-term?
Yeah, so Mike, back in the day, even before this whole team, I've always been a workaholic. I love working. It's something I'm really passionate about. Going to college and go to school, I never enjoyed homework, but I loved working. I had a lot of jobs during college just to keep myself working. I really always enjoyed doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was on this real estate team, there was a time where I was working, 10 hours would be low, 12, 14, 16 hours a day. I'd be picking up my phone on the weekends, evenings, whatever. And I think a lot of people do that. I think that real estate, realtors and admin do that to themselves. They work themselves to death because they don't set the boundaries up. They want to work. They know that work is productive, or they feel that that working is productive, that busy equals productive, which it doesn't. But they work themselves too much. And that's what happened to me. I remember waking up one morning during that real estate career, probably about 4 or 5 years ago now. And I was dating a girl, and we had a little chihuahua at the time. And I open up the back door to let the chihuahua out to go outside, and I go and start making breakfast. And I come back and open the back door, and I've actually lost it. I've lost my girlfriend's dog. Mm-hmm. And it's not because I left the gate open or anything else. It's that the weeds in my yard had grown up to be about this tall, which was double the height of this little dog. So eventually I see this little thing hopping through it, and I realized, wow, I've completely neglected something as simple as getting my yard done. I wasn't even doing my own yard. I'd call somebody to come do it. I neglected that type of work. And it was just weeds at that point. And I go, wow, something needs to change. Something really needs to change inside of what I'm doing and how I operate and how I'm treating all my other relationships, which must be going down the drain if I'm focused solely on work. And that's when I started getting really obsessive about learning about leverage. And leverage of all types, not just hiring, but technology and delegating and just really trimming the fat off your plate. I mean, how often have you ever had a grocery list, a to-do list, or something you've just been keeping paper tabs on, and then you lose that list? You never, ever really care. You remember 1 or 2 things on it, but it's never a big deal. Like Mike, you and I are just talking about tabs on your computer. If you close all the tabs right now and you couldn't reopen them, would it really change what happens? Would it really change or impact the most productive priority things in your world?
Right.
Likely wouldn't. And so that's why I got really obsessed about, okay, how can I work less? How can I delegate? How can I do this? And that's kind of when I started looking into making hires and virtual assistants and learning as much as I could about that and why people were doing it wrong and how just a simple relationship changed everything. So I got obsessed about that. And so when I came and started helping other people, that's kind of the mentality I use is how can I help these people do more of what they want to do? And hopefully it's not working more, but it's gaining their time back, gaining their freedom back to do what they want to do, when they want to do it, with who they want to do it.
No, that's great. I mean, it's such a valuable lesson that now you had to learn about freedom, you had to learn about leverage personally, and now you've got a company that does that for others. So yeah, so talk a little bit about just the types of services that you provide for real estate agent, and then how that helps the agent or how it helps the team, and then talk too about the virtual assistants that you employ. What does that mean for them now working with you versus working with, directly with a real estate agent or through some other company?
So the number one aspect or categorization of person that we hire for any type of real estate or real estate related company is an administrative hire. That could be an administrative assistant, executive assistant, transaction coordinator, assistant transaction coordinator, junior TC, whatever you call them. There's a lot of different administrative roles. Those are the ones we hire for all day, every single day. We constantly have a list of at least a dozen people we're hiring for in those types of roles. What that really does is it helps get all the back end work off of people. So regardless if you are in real estate as an agent or on the back end as an admin, there's a lot of back end work that needs to be done that doesn't need to be done by you. I find those are probably the quickest and easiest roles to start leveraging and to start getting some help with. They're the $10 an hour roles, not the ones that you were hired for or that you work for. When you're $25, $50, $100 an hour person, you shouldn't be doing the $10 an hour jobs. So this really allows them to start leveraging off the back end stuff. A lot of people, when they first hire somebody, may be uncomfortable. Ooh, will this person do it as good as me? Will they speak on my behalf? Will they talk like I talk? Things like that. Nothing I'm really concerned about. This is just a great way for them to ease into the delegating. But the best thing you can do is actually create a role, not just say, hey, here's stuff on my plate that I don't want to do, that I'm not doing, that needs to be done. Don't do that, but actually take those things and create a role based on them.
Right. It's a job description, not a task list. So
correct.
Put together a long-term job description of what this person's going to do, not I need these 5 things off my plate in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, stuff on your plate is not a title you put on your business card. Right. Chief of stuff on Mike's plate. That's not something I would do. It helps to kind of know what's going there. But as I said, Mike, if you just start handing me things, you hand me something that takes 10 minutes, that takes 20 minutes, takes 30 minutes. Eventually, you're going to hand me something, you're going to look at it and go, this is going to take me time to train him. I'm busy. Okay, what else can I pass off? And you're going to be looking around for stuff to give me when I'm like, Mike, I'm ready. But actually having a role, so it's not that I'm just taking stuff off your plate, but I'm owning things in a role, leads to long-term success with leverage. So what that really does for
in their shoes, like, I'm going to want to be a part of this long-term because I feel important. I feel included. I feel like I've got a path for where I'm going in the future. That's a whole lot different than this person gives me this task list and then I just do it. For those of us that are in support type roles, like, we love when the people we support have success. Like, our success is through their success, because some people don't want their name in bright lights. They don't want to be the attention getter. And yet in a support role, you love when that person succeeds. So if you cast the vision of like, hey, we're side by side, we're accomplishing the vision of this company or the vision of this role or whatever it is together. Now they've got vision, there's a lot more buy-in there. They're going to show up as a better version of themselves because they feel included in what it is you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, the more you can cast your vision for somebody, regardless of the hire, especially when you hire somebody remotely, to see what they're really getting into. It's not here's the work you're going to do, it's here's the impact you're going to make. Like if you keep talking to me about your vision and what you want for the company and what you want for me and my goals and how those can align together, you're just building dedication between us. And that's true for any role. So if you're hiring a virtual assistant, it's not what stuff do I need off my plate right now? It's what vision can I cast that somebody wants to join me, because now that's long-term benefit for you of somebody, the stability of somebody staying with you. And it's long-term growth opportunities for them. How many people love having somewhere they know, hey, in 5 years, we're going to have a great relationship still.
We're going to take a brief pause from our episode for a second. Hi, this is Mike Swenson. In addition to running this podcast, I also run a real estate team. And as you may know, there's lots of great agents across the United States, And there's also some agents that aren't so great. So what I want to do for you is to put you in touch with a top-notch agent no matter where you live. So whether you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in a home anywhere in the United States, we're here for you. Fill out our form at eliteagentreferral.com and we'll put you in touch with a top-notch professional agent no matter which state you live in. And if you happen to live in the state of Minnesota, we'll be happy to serve your real estate needs. So make sure that you reach out to me at eliteagentreferral.com. Thanks. Now back to our episode.
So talk a little bit then about the success that you've seen when your virtual assistants work for a team or an individual agent. Like, what are some of those wins, some of those success stories that you've heard?
We've had people come up and say how much their business has grown. We've had people say that their revenue or the income has gone up. We don't use numbers because we don't track that. We don't care. Mm-hmm. What we really care about is the impact to their life. Hey, I've helped get my life back. I've helped, what this has done for me is I'm spending more time with my family. I'm spending more time on the things that matter most to me. Maybe that's growing a business. Maybe that's their family. Maybe that's their kids, whatever it is. That's what we love to hear, is that they're happy, that the person they're working with is happy as well. Mm-hmm. Hey, before this, and that's one of probably the biggest things we have is our actual virtual assistant success stories. The people that said, look, you guys, we pay competitively. We offer benefits nobody else can offer. Mm-hmm. We really do care about people. And the fact is, we've seen people move from, apartments with 5 of their family members to their own house. We've seen people upgrade from a desk this big with a laptop onto it to a full rig, a full computer, monitor, keyboard, everything. And they love that. That's productive to them. Mm-hmm. We've seen people go on a vacation. Like, how amazing is that? That somebody's like, I haven't been able to go on vacation, 1, because of funds, and 2, because I don't get time off. Like, if I don't work, I don't get paid. With us, they get paid time off. They're able to take that and actually go on a vacation. How amazing is that somebody's like, I took my first vacation and I can't tell you how long it's been. Mm-hmm. Those are some of the biggest wins, is when people come and tell us how their life was impacted versus how much money or how much business they're getting.
Yeah. Right. And it's one of those things where, coming back to, treating people just like you would if they were sitting side by side, like you would want your employee to take a vacation. And so that should be the same thing. Just because they may be, miles and miles away from you, you still want that person to take a vacation, because they're going to show up better for you when they're on because they've had time off. So why would we expect the virtual assistant industry to be different than the non-virtual assistant? Because right now in COVID, guess what? We're all virtual, right? So we're all assisting other people in other ways. We're all virtual assistants, so we should just treat them that same way. And I think
it's pretty clear. I'm working from my home. Like, right. That's what virtual assistants do. So I am a remote worker, virtual assistant, remote worker. I don't see myself as any different than anybody else. In fact, I see every single one of our people as they're working down the street from me. They work from home, a couple doors down. That's it. There's no different from them working across the world to them working 2 doors down from me. I can still call them, I can still text, email, hop on a Zoom like this. There's really no different.
Just a different time zone, which
exactly.
And you guys work through that. So what would be one of the things? So if I said, hey, Clint, I'm totally bought in on having virtual assistants. I think I'm just going to try to do it myself, and cut out the middle person, right? So what would be the benefit that you provide at Level that takes stuff off of people's plates versus me trying to find somebody myself?
Yeah, and I think that's been trained and coached and talked about a lot. I mean, there's even companies out there that says, hey, we'll just do the recruiting for you, and then you just hire that person directly. Nobody has ever talked about this, and I'd like to bring it up. The only other person that's talked about this is actually my lawyer. When you hire somebody here in the United States, if they're in a different state than you, you have to comply with that state's employment laws. So for example, I'm here in Texas. If I hire somebody out in California, which has a lot of employment laws on the behalf of the employee, I have to comply with those. Mm-hmm. There is no difference when you hire somebody in another country. You actually have to comply with that country's employment laws, which is what I think a lot of people don't. So there's a lot of risk people take on with hiring directly. You don't know who you're hiring. You don't really have a way of background checking them or any other way to say this person is really, truly, honestly who they say they are with the work that they say they've done. A lot of people will get a friend of a friend type thing, which is, I mean, I've never ever once gone and said, hey, do you have any friends that want to come work with us? Bring them in. You know, I always like, I think it's baffling that
It's
people
easier on the front end, but you're going to pay for it on the back end.
always pay for it on the back end. But really, I think that's kind of one of the biggest overlooked things. Otherwise, how often do people actually make hires? Once a year, twice a year, maybe as high as 3-4 times a year, if that, for administrative or other types of roles that are non-agent roles. It's not very frequent. And so when you have that, one, you have to have a process. It's probably a process maybe you got trained on from a company, or you've learned, or you've heard, or you've kind of just think through it. Okay, I need to call, I need to do reference checks, I need to screen them, that type of stuff. But they don't have a fully defined process that they do all day, every day. We have a team of recruiters. That's all they do. You know, I think on average, when I see people hire direct, they end up going through 2, 3, 4 people that they hire on that don't work out, and have to continue re-going through that process. So it takes probably about somewhere between 20 and 80 hours of their time up front to find the long-term fit. We take that on. Next is, when you hire somebody overseas, a lot of people are like, well, I send them an agreement that has privacy, confidentiality, says the term, says everything. Goodness, are you going to fly them over here, or are you going to fly over there if something goes wrong? You have no protection against it. It's not worth the piece of paper you're signing. We actually have companies in both countries to be able to protect everybody. And that's what we really care about, is we care about somebody being protected on both ends. We want that person to get paid. We want this person to get the work done. So when it comes down to, risk, we take all that on for you. A lot of people look at it as, hey, I can save a couple of bucks. Well, we're actually getting more transparent with our pricing. We want people to know, hey, there's a reason why we're one of the lowest costs out there. It's because we're one of the lowest overheads out there. We're on a mission for people to really see the Filipinos that they hire as true team members, as true employees of their business, not as just task doers. So we've made our prices so competitively low to pass on all the benefits we get to them. We offer super competitive wages. They're not the $2 an hour that you get told to go hire for. We offer something you can't offer, which is company paid medical insurance. We offer really good company. It's the same as it is here, Mike. If you were going to go get private insurance on your own, it'd be more expensive and worse. When company pays for it, it's better and cheaper. We provide it, we pay for it, we do everything. We offer them benefits, we offer them a better exchange rate than anybody can get, because as I said, we've got over 100 people. We can negotiate exchange rates, for country to country. Man, the list is really endless with how much we can actually offer both parties. Job security for the one side, the security that, hey, we're going to help you, both parties, make sure things work out. We have a very low ratio of somebody ghosting, meaning that they just don't show up for work one day. We have very low, because we have multiple ways to actually reach out, contact them, find out if something's going on, if something's happened. If there was a medical emergency, a family emergency, something, we're able to find that information out and actually help them and support them, versus, oh man, this person just left me and is never coming back, I guess I just won't pay them for the work they did mentality. So there's a lot of really good things. And ultimately, the benefit of hiring somebody, regardless of whether you do it through Level or another agency, far outweighs the risk, the time, the energy, the commitment you make anywhere else by doing things on your own. It's just, in my opinion, even if you don't go with us, go with somebody else. It's 100% worth it.
Right. I mean, it's leverage at the highest level, because you've got that leverage. You don't have to learn how to do all these different things. You just align with people that do things better than you, and you don't have to learn it all yourself. You pay a little bit for that, but at the same time, you've increased your odds, right? Like the fact that you have great relationships with hundreds of people in the Philippines, the likelihood of finding somebody that's going to be a better fit is so much stronger than if I try to just hire one person myself there, doing my own way. And even if I've got a good system figured out, like you mentioned, things like the exchange rate, things like the employment laws, now I don't have to worry about that, because you've taken care of that. And so we can accomplish more by using each other and helping each other out, and going through you versus me trying to do it on my own.
Yeah, and I'll say, even as far as a tax perspective goes, I'd say a lot of the CPAs you talk to, if you tell them you have somebody that you're hiring overseas, they're not going to know exactly what's necessary to make that okay. I'm gonna be honest, the IRS doesn't like to see your money just go overseas with no trace or trail of it. They're very curious as to why your money's leaving. So when we first started, I knew about those types of things. And I went through CPA and CPA and CPA of chatting with a bunch of people until I found one that says, oh, yes, I do know. Here's exactly, and started mimicking and talking to me about the things I already knew were to be true. I would say probably 90% of the people I chatted with did not know about that. And if you are sending money overseas already through PayPal, TransferWise, another company where you're not protected, and they're going to ask you, okay, well, how do we send a 1099? You can't. So there are things on there. So if you don't have a CPA, if you currently have somebody hired overseas and you don't have a CPA that knows what to do there, you need to find one that does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love what we were talking about COVID and how, obviously that changed the face of employment and changed the face of a lot of jobs. So for you stepped up, and, it kind of comes back to, what you really believe in, which is, treating people well. And when you look out for their best interest, they're going to be rewarded based on, how you treat them. And so talk a little bit about what COVID did for your company and how you adapted through that.
Yeah. So back in March of 2020, there was a message spread across to the real estate industry that basically said, hey, this is the time to start slashing your expenses. So really focus. The message was heard as people included. Really look at every person and not protect them, but really just slash whatever you don't absolutely 100% need. And we felt that pretty hard, especially when it comes to virtual assistants. So we had, between March and April, we had, I think, about 30 people lose and this was not when we were at 100 people. We had about 30 people lose their jobs in the blink of an eye. And so what we did was, the first thing we did was we actually have an employee hardship fund for every medical emergency or some sort of natural disaster or something. We always have a hardship fund that we spread out. We poured into that. We over quadrupled what was in there and then just gave it all away. We gave it to every single person saying, hey, we know your family is not able to work right now because there's a quarantine in the Philippines. Here's extra money to support you and your family during this time. So we drained that. And then for those 30 people, we said, hey, we are going to stop bringing on new clients and stop recruiting. The only clients we'll bring on are ones that are looking for your role. So we actually stopped bringing on new clients and we stopped recruiting new people until we actually flipped and went out and started finding jobs for each of those people. Turned out that I think we took 12 or 15 of those people. I actually reached out to some competitors and said, hey, we have these people. Let me show you their skills. Let me show you their resumes. Let me show you what they've been working on. Let me show you everything about them. Can you help them? And they said, yes. And so we started actually helping our people get other jobs because we told them, we said, we want you here. It's great to have you as part of our family. And ultimately, we know what's important to you is that you have a livelihood, that you are the provider for your family right now. And so we, unfortunately, had to help 15 people go find jobs elsewhere. But we didn't actually start bringing on anybody new, any new people, any new clients until we did that.
I think that's so great because it's you're practicing what you're preaching, and we don't often have times, our values aren't tested until they're tested, and you got a chance to live that out and to show people that you cared for them. And if for some reason you weren't able to provide them a job through you found them a place, and so I think that's great. So kudos to you. That's awesome. And I think it just shows the culture that you're creating with leverage and support of people moving forward. And I think the reason why, I wanted to have you on is, when we talk about financial and time freedom through opportunities in real estate, people are such a key part of that. And you play such an important role in providing great quality people at a very competitive rate that can truly take their business to the next level. We always talk about if you're doing all that you can do and you can't do anymore, you're probably missing a person, to really take your business to the next level. And for a lot of those people, it's partnering with companies like you that can really help provide the support, because like you talked about, not only are you providing a great opportunity for the virtual assistants, but you're helping people get their lives back too, because if they hire a virtual assistant for 40 hours a week, they've just opened up what was on their calendar, to where they could truthfully eliminate 40 hours of work on their plate, because you've provided this great opportunity. So it's just a perfect match of need and meeting the need.
Right. Yeah. I love you could open up 40 hours. You could. It's not saying you're going to. That's up to you. You and how you manage and delegate, and how you let go of things in your business, and how you grow and everything. There's companies out there that offer, that say double your business with a virtual assistant. We'll never claim something like that, because I think that's unfair to say you're going to hire somebody and they're going to double your business. No, I think that's a two-way street.
So because we're also talking about, Clint, the person, and we're talking about building wealth, tell us a little bit about, I know you've done some investments in real estate as well. So let's just take a couple minutes and touch on that. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So I actually bought my first house. I must have been 23, 24. I was pretty young. I bought my first house. It was great. I just wanted a house. I thought it'd be cool to own one. Basically, my older brother took me aside one day when I was, I had my first, grown up job type thing at 22 or something like that. And he said, what's going to happen is a lot of your friends, they're going to make more money, they're going to be earning money. It's going to be the most money you've ever earned, because you've been a student and everything else before this. So it's going to be a lot more than you've ever earned. Most of your friends are going to go out there, they're going to buy a car, they're going to spend their money, they're going to go out and do fancy stuff. He goes, that's fun, but he goes, that's not really going to, it's not going to make you happy. It's going to be temporary. It's going to lose you money. And so he said, what's really cool though? Owning your own house and being the first of your friends to own that. So I was like, that does make sense. And he told me about being an asset and how it could, appreciate and everything. So I was like, that sounds cool. So at 24, I bought my own house. And a couple of years later, when I moved out of Dallas, I sold it. And I think after 2 years, maybe just over 2 years, it was $140,000 or something like that when I bought it. And I sold it for $170,000. And now I've got $30,000 extra, and I bought it for about $3,000. So I was like, wait a minute. How do I have $30,000 right now? It's this is cool. I was like, okay, let me think about this. So I started reading a lot of books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, things like that, since starting with in real estate, millionaire real estate investor, hold, shift, things like that. And so I started going to strategy. So I bought my next house just outside of Austin a few, probably actually right when I moved down to Austin back here in 2014 or so. And then I decided my next house I'm going to move into and make that my primary one and turn this one into investment. So that's my current strategy right now is buying properties that I'm going to enjoy living in that are going to make really good rental properties in the future. And so I just slowly trade up to when I get some cash to go and take the cash, get a loan and get a new property. And that way I'm getting the primary interest rate on my house I live in. I'm getting a great rate on my investment because it's not an investment property. It was a primary property that turned into investment. And so that's my current strategy, is kind of just the trade up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love the beauty of that, where, you don't have to go buy 50 rental properties and flip them, because your focus is on running your business. And yet at the same time, you can still be smart with other parts of how you spend your time and other investments that you have. And so it's simple, it's repeatable, and it's helping you to grow wealth in addition to what you're growing with your company.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think that the people oftentimes, I even look at, I'm always getting people sending me investment opportunities across the US. If I'd gone back to when I was 24, the first thing I would have done would have been probably buy a duplex or quadplex. I think that would have been a smarter move for me as a younger person. I think that's such a smart move, especially for people in college, if they can, to try to get that loan. Otherwise, looking, because you live in part of it and rent out the rest and have them cover your mortgage and rent. Otherwise, I think it's really good to look in other areas of the U.S., things that are moving. San Antonio is just down the street from me. It's an area I know. The price point's much less. It's easier to kind of get in there if you're looking for that. To try to buy an investment property in Austin right now, you're going to have to come in, with 100,000 over asking with cash type thing. So it's rough. But if you want the investment, if you want the properties, there's houses on either side of me that never went on the market because somebody had the tenacity to go and door knock and basically say, it looks like your house is a little run down. It's like, are you considering selling? Would you consider to sell it to me? And people have done that. And I think one of the houses around me was wholesaled, somebody just signing over the contract. Other ones have been bought by investors, and you can see exactly, they look all the exact same. They do the exact same work for every house, but they flip them quickly and easily. So there's a lot of opportunity. You just kind of got to determine what's the right path for you. And for me, it's, hey, let's earn a little bit and move up, earn a little bit, move up.
Yeah. Yeah.
More important to me is the freedom I currently get.
Right. Yeah. So talk a little bit about the future then. How do you see your life and your company here growing over the next 5, 10, 20 years?
Yeah, so I know I mentioned before, I've been in operations. I'm a systems guy. So everything we've done from day one has been putting in scalable systems, really things that allow us to go from 10 people to 100 people to 1,000 people without breaking everything. So that's what we've been doing. We've always put in systems that continually grow with us. So the fact is, yeah, we came in at a very low price point. We're playing the long game. That's beneficial for you. Do you want to hire somebody and then have to hire somebody in 3 months and hire somebody in 3 months? And, we take the bank on that because you're paying us up front, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and we just do that work. We can go for the quick dollar every day. There's a lot of companies out there that do that and promise you a lot of stuff, but they will show you that, hey, over the long term, they don't have long-term hires. They can't show you that. We're in it for the long-term game. So we don't make a lot, though we are in it to help support people from the long term. And that's really how we scale. Is by doing a lot of things with a lot of people. So that's what we're going on for here. But really for us, it's more about how can we make that long-term better. So as I mentioned, we instituted medical insurance for all of our people. We actually decided based on feedback from them that medical insurance is great. Medical insurance for them plus a spouse or a child is better and is needed. And so we said, you're right. We get it. So that's what we did. On January 1st, we said, hey, we're going to give everybody medical insurance plus a dependent. We're constantly looking at ways to do things. We've changed just how we've paid people 4 different times because we got fractions of exchange rates higher. And now the one that we use allows them to use their own bank. They don't have to use PayPal. PayPal, by the way, charges you to get money if you're overseas. You get one of the lowest exchange rates. You charge to send it. They charge to receive it. They get, screwed on the exchange rate. We've been constantly looking at how can we do things faster, better, and more beneficial to them. So everything we're doing right now is literally how can we make this the best place for them? Because we even have people now coming and bringing us people saying, hey, my friend wants to work here. How do we help them? We got friends. We got this person, that business went out. They're amazing TC. Can you interview them? Like people are bringing us people all the time. And that's what we want. We want to have somebody love working here so much that they want their friends to work here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's simple, not easy. Like when you provide a great opportunity, you treat people well, it's going to naturally blossom. People are going to want their friends to work with you. When you provide great service for the agents, they're going to need more assistance because they see the benefit of that. And so it's just going to be this cascade of impact that you get to leave because you do the right thing the right way. So we're excited to see where that goes. For those people that are interested in reaching out to you, either your story has resonated or they're interested in what Level has to provide, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so first and foremost, everything we put out is on our website. Literally, we're transparent about everything. So our website is asklevel.com. And of course, reach out to me, Clint at asklevel.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing your story. We really appreciate it and really appreciate all that you're doing for the virtual assistant world.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Thank you.
Hi, this is Mike Swenson. In addition to running this podcast, I also run a real estate team. And as you may know, there's lots of great agents across the United States, and there's also some agents that aren't so great. So what I want to do for you is to put you in touch with a top-notch agent no matter where you live. So whether you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in a home anywhere in the United States, we're here for you. Fill out our form at eliteagentreferral.com and we'll put you in touch with a top-notch professional agent no matter which state you live in. And if you happen to live in the state of Minnesota, we'll be happy to serve your real estate needs. So make sure that you reach out to me at eliteagentreferral.com. Thanks.